So whether you have been with us for a couple of years or you're fairly new with us, I would imagine you have participated in or heard that we run cycles for our primary lifts. If you don't know what that means, the primary lifts tend to be shoulder press, front squat, potentially deadlifts, and chest press, which is easily the most popular. I think in my experience over the last couple of years, a lot of people understand that we know that cycles are important. We know they're valuable. I just don't know that everybody actually knows like what they offer and truly what they're doing. And with the cycle coming up here on September 5th, the chest cycle, I just kind of wanted to reestablish and clean up any muddiness in the water as to why the coaches and trainers and me specifically push people to do cycles so hard. So again, everything you see on the monitor, I've had to go back and kind of like pick some of this stuff from old notebooks and some old textbooks, and I pieced some of them in here, and some of them don't really parallel Cor4 that well. Meaning, like a lot of this stuff is already intrinsically built into our programming, and I'll explain what I mean by that as we get in here. But a couple of these things like don't really apply to you guys, but I still felt like putting them in there because it's still kind of drilled into my head as to benefits of doing cycles. So I'll start with what's on the monitor, and then I'll dig into a couple of other little nuances here. But again, cycles, for those of you that don't know, it's 12 weeks. It's a lifting cycle. It's progressive overload. The whole point is hypertrophy. It's to get stronger, build lean muscle on a particular lift. All right. And everybody, I think a lot of people think like, well, we do these lifts all the time anyways. It's true. Like I try really hard to repeat and stay structured with particular, especially primary lifts. But nothing is as successful or as efficient as doing a rigid 12-week cycle. So just literally, it's perfectly structured. Every sixth day, you are going to know it's going to be there. You are going to hit it. We're going to maximize your percentages and your rep count and volume for the main purpose of getting stronger, right? And you can lift for years, but if you don't eventually start progressively overloading in a structured manner, you're eventually going to plateau and you're just not going to be able to get stronger. So my biggest thing is anytime you guys see a cycle coming up, I would strongly advise you to partake in it. Whether you like the lift or not, it's the best way, it's the easiest way to build new lean muscle tissue on your body. And again, I struggle from a trainer's perspective, right? We're in group fitness. That's what Cor4 is. Group fitness gyms don't do cycles. Like that's just, we are one of one. And we get these in here, we've made them, we found out how to make them as efficient as possible, and there's still people who will show up every chest day, but they won't participate in a cycle. And sometimes that kind of baffles me from a trainer's perspective as to why. Like, even if you end up failing or dropping out for, an injury or limitation purposes, at least you tried and you left the door open to you getting through the entire 12 weeks. So, I'm going to lean towards like, hey, if you're here and you intend on being in town for the majority of time, that being said, chest press is probably the easiest movement universally to do like anywhere. Like all you got to do is find like a hotel gym or a box gym somewhere if you're out of town and you can make it up. I would strongly push you to participate in a cycle, especially if your main goal is to building muscle. Now, the stuff on the monitor. I'm not going to go through this in like crazy detail, but progression without burnout, cycling lets you increase weight, reps, intensity, like that's all in there. Like that's the whole point. It's structured for you. I write this whole thing out by hand. I've been doing it for years. I've made a million changes to them just based off of the demographics and the groups and the flow and, after all these people, like what works best and, some things that just need to be changed. I am constantly open-minded to making changes based off of the experiences we're having, but the last couple of cycles have gone fantastic. The amount of people that have gotten stronger is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, like that's the whole point, but it's just cool to see it in such like a large fashion. Like cycles are usually for like you and your partner, and you go to the gym and you two follow it rigidly, and you guys high-five each other the entire time. It's really neat in these large groups to see huge chunks of people see their weights go up if you do it correctly, and that's the goal, is to give you guys the opportunity and the tools and the education to do this as efficiently and the best, whatever best serves you guys from getting from A to B in terms of strength. So helps you prevent plateaus. I think we've gone over that. The avoids overtraining part, that's one of those pieces I was saying, like you don't really have to worry about it at Cor4. Like overtraining in Cor4 standards is like, you just don't take days off. But we do a pretty good job at programming out the muscular parts and not hitting things too excessively. So that one's not too big of an issue here. Targeted adaptations, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We're working on hypertrophy. We work on strength. You guys might see mini cycles every now and then. I haven't had it. We just had a lot going on, and I wanted to put a mini cycle in September, but the September schedule is just like slammed. So I'm thinking October, I'm going to bring back the mini cycles. We'll probably put a vote online, as we always do for people and kind of interested in what they want. But again, mini cycles is an 8-week cycle, a little bit less structured than a true cycle, but allow you repetition for 8 consecutive weeks on a particular lift, usually a secondary lift a lot of times. But anyways, cycles also help you build a complete foundation. Like, that's the goal, right? You need to build a foundation of strength. We need to put lean muscle tissue on your body, and then we can condition your body with that lean muscle tissue on it. Better recovery and longevity. So here, you'll see the second bullet point: keeps joints healthy, avoids repetitive stress. Again, another one that's not really overly concerning at Cor4. Again, like I said, I put a lot of time into programming. You don't really have to worry about that too much. But the structured deloads are a big one. So in cycles, you always kind of ramp yourself up. You have to drop back. You ramp yourself back up, and then you kind of have like a peak week at the end where you're up at like the 90 to 105% of your 1 rep max where you started. So the deloads are kind of built in to take some of that crazy amount of progressive overload off of you for a week or two. And usually that's right around like week 7 to week 9. Normally you'll see kind of like a GVT built in right around week 8 or that 2-month window, and that's kind of what you consider a drop back in terms of all the added load. And then again, motivation and freshness. Like, it's a variation. It's a change of pace. It's not your normal class. When you come in and cycle at Cor4, you are only cycling that day. So every single chest day for the next 12 weeks, you're just going to lift. Like, you're not going to be on the bike and on the ski erg and running miles and doing crazy EMOMs and stuff. Like, you're just going to focus on moving weight as efficiently as possible and as much gross tonnage as you possibly can each and every cycle week, which is really kind of cool. And it gives you a clear motive and a clear goal for 12 consecutive weeks, which again is really nice. And then again, when this cycle is over, if you didn't know how it works, we'll run 3 cycles throughout the calendar year. And we always take off the summers because everybody's out of town and cycles are impossible to keep up with. And we figured that out the hard way the first year we were open, where the cycles were just not going well because nobody was in town ever. They just kept missing. So anyways, that's why you should lift in cycles. And I'll end it with kind of how I started it. Like, from a trainer's perspective, from somebody that's been doing this for a long time, I truly believe like you'd be crazy not to participate in the cycle unless, again, you have some limitation or restriction from whatever particular cycle we're working on, or like you just know you're going to be out of town an absolute ton and you can't keep up with it. Otherwise, like, do the cycle, man. Like, we write this stuff for you guys. I incorporated this in Cor4 as a perk. Like, I never actually thought, full transparency, now I'm going down a tangent here. I never actually thought cycles would work in group fitness, just to be very clear. So when we pulled this off and we've cleaned them up and made them more and more efficient over the years, they do work. And there's a ton of people that can tell you that they work. So if you're even questioning whether or not you should do it, just do it. And I don't think you're going to regret it.